We do 91.1 FM, The Boss.
Programs presented are submitted by members of our community and are a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of KNLY 91.1 FM, The Boss, and affiliates.
Hello everybody, welcome to Superhuman with Dr. V, and with me always is Jason Phelps, and we have a really cool show for y'all today. We have two of my really good buddies, Cody Johson and Doug Champion, and we're going to talk about some really cool stuff that y'all probably didn't know in the background about Cody. So I was really lucky. We're going to kind of talk about the history, but I was, lucky enough to be introduced to, Cody about 5 years ago now. Wow. By Doug, and y'all need to understand way beyond the music. The music itself stands on its own. If y'all have listened to that most recent, the Ain't Nothing to It album. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but
this is not going to be any questions, by the way. We're just going to talk at you for 4
yeah. It's going to be. It's just
I touched the mic and messed it up already.
It's basically going to be, just off the cuff stuff today, and no agenda. But basically, I want y'all to understand all the things that go on in the background that Cody does to keep up with his demanding schedule. Y'all have no clue as far as the health and wellness aspect that he does, and here on the show we really talk about health, wellness, nutrition, diet, exercise, activity, all that, and that's really what we're going to focus on. But today let me just introduce Cody, and Doug. How are y'all doing, man?
Good, man.
Yeah,
thanks for having us on.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So real quick, how did all this kind of want everybody? We talked about it earlier, but how did want the listeners kind of know how did all this come about? How we got introduced. And
So actually, my wife, through a mutual friend of ours, found out at the time whenever Doug owned CrossFit Hville in Huntsville, and so I started going to the gym. And we would on my days off. Usually back then it was like I would have every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. We weren't. Our schedule wasn't quite as strenuous as it is now, where I'll stay out for a couple of months, at a time sometimes. And so my first, I literally went from no nutrition, nothing. I weighed probably 145 pounds. Yeah, and it was soaking wet.
I've seen the old albums.
Yeah, look back at any of my old album pictures. But my first introduction was just into straight CrossFit, because that's what Doug was doing at the time, was training for the games and doing different things. And so I went from nothing to doing all these CrossFit movements, and it was pretty. Yeah, I did a Murph the first year, and it was I was like, what am I doing? Because really in the first year, I really didn't see a lot except for torture. It was just torture to me, but I knew that would be an end result. So I think, throughout the years, Doug eventually sold the gym, and then my schedule's getting crazier on the road. So we started to try to figure out how to adjust not just the workouts that Doug was creating for me as my personal trainer, but how to make it work when I'm at home, how to make it work on the road. And when I didn't have Hville to go to, it kind of became awkward for me going to gym, because it became more like people were like, hey, that's Cody Johson. And, I get that, and I really appreciate that, because you can't do what I do without fans, but it's kind of hard to concentrate on.
Focus.
Yeah, it's really kind of hard to focus whenever you know that everybody's kind of looking at you in the gym. So that's when Doug and I decided to build out my garage, and we created a CrossFit gym at home. So it was a lot easier.
Yeah. Nice. So, Doug, what's your background?
So I owned CrossFit Hville for 5 years. I am certified through something called OPEX, which is basically when CrossFit started. There was two people, and they split, and they went CrossFit and OPEX. And OPEX is much more of a functional bodybuilding you can train competitively with it, but it's made for everybody. It's tailored for everyone to be the best person they can be physically, right? So when we first started, when I was at the gym, and like you said, I was training I wanted to make the CrossFit Games real bad, and that's how I met Willie. We started training together really hard. So we did a ton of CrossFit.
Yeah.
And it might have been a little bit torturous sometimes, you know what I mean? Especially when you're just starting. So we really transitioned into that functional bodybuilding stuff and resistance bands, and especially on the road, like, there's no room for a barbell on the bus.
No, and honestly, half the time you're working out in an alleyway.
Yeah.
Because at this point in my career, you know, in some states, in some areas, I may be playing a 1,500 cap theater, and then the next night I'm playing a 10,000 seater somewhere, you know, in an arena. So when we play basketball arenas, when we play hockey arenas, you know, we get those gyms opened up to us, and they're NHL and NBA quality. But sometimes it's just Bowflex adjustable dumbbells and a yoga mat in an alley. And it's how bad do you want it?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's been some weird. We've worked out on the dance floor of some places a lot of time before the place opens. You know,
alleys with dumpsters, literally stepping over just things you don't even want to look at, but we're still doing
So when
it.
you're having these conversations with the arena, with whoever else, is that something common they deal with people on the road, or are you guys kind of unique in that?
Yeah, no, I think that everybody works out.
say so.
I think everybody kind of has their own thing. I think the biggest thing for musicians is get out of your bunk and move, because every night you're going 12, 16 hours down the road. It's a lot of time to just be stagnant. You can only do so much stretching on a bus. A bus is really nice and really extravagant, but there's only so much room. So I would say 80% of the people I've encountered on the road work out, and they have some type of physical activity. But my show is very physical. I move around constantly. I'm drenched whether it's the air conditioner's on or not. I'm really, really physical in my movements, and my cardio is constant. So I wanted to approach it from an athletic standpoint. And I want to hit the gym every night, or hit the stage every night and say, this is my basketball game. This is my rodeo arena. I want to go 100% intensity, and I want to leave no doubt.
Yeah.
And so if you take that athletic mentality to it, the stuff that Doug and I have been doing has really helped. And if you add with that, when Doug introduced me to Dr. Willie, you start talking about hormone replacement therapy, getting your levels right inside your body, really start focusing on that nutrition aspect and really focusing on that stuff. That was the game changer. Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the icing on the cake for me.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, it's like, I want the listener to understand is, and we've talked about it right before the show, is that the things that Cody does to keep up with that demanding schedule, it's way more than y'all would. I mean, he really takes a really, really, hard approach to his diet, nutrition, wellness. The stuff that he does extra just to stay healthy and to keep up with the schedule is kind of all the stuff that y'all don't see behind the scenes. And again, it's what you're going to need for longevity. I mean, it's
absolutely
for not just your average person, but just the demands that you have from the show. You're literally ready, and all it's going to do is it's going to add on to the longevity of your career, not just your life, but your career, and then also allow you to do those high intensity, shows. If any of y'all have been, I urge y'all to go to one of the Cody Johson shows. But just like the rodeo, the last 2 years, and I was hoping this year, to get to see a rodeo man again, but. If y'all have ever been to one of those shows, I mean, it is high intensity. He's like jumping off, steps and things like that. And so it is very physical, and it's not just exercise and activity, diet, nutrition. The famous like Jack LaLanne, right? He's a godfather of fitness.
Jack LaLanne.
Like Jack LaLanne,
Yes.
right? And he gets a lot of crap, but he had a famous saying. He said, "Exercise is king. Nutrition is queen." Says, put them together, you get the kingdom, right?
Yep.
So I switch it, though. I think nutrition is a little bit more important, but they're both important,
Yep. So I'm looking at the screen, and our folks at home, they're looking at video you outperforming. Is this something you're doing right now? Because it sure doesn't seem like there's a lot of venues
Well,
that are
and that was
hosting
my next
people.
question. Is
No.
when are we expected you back? When
Well, we're kind of playing it. We're kind of playing it safe right now.
Yeah.
I could go play certain venues that, I've kind of cut my teeth growing up playing. We could scale things down, or you take the bet and you wait and you just kind of wait till things open up. It's a fortunate thing. It's an unfortunate thing. The fortunate thing is we've developed into a point in my career where we are playing much larger venues on a much larger scale. The unfortunate thing is the bigger the venues and the people that are drawing those big crowds will be the last ones to go back to work. But, I have a great manager and a great booking agent and a great team around me that's constantly coming up with ideas of how to facilitate. Because right now it's a city-by-city basis. What works in Manhattan is not going to work in Kansas and may not work in Houston. It's very touch and go. But, I'm utilizing the time to get in the studio. And I've really, really utilized the time to do a lot of work on my 50 acres that I've never I never would have had the time to do in this much consecutive time. And time with my wife and my kids that I never would have had. So my perspective on it is this. It's not like I lost that money. Just didn't get a chance to make it. My perspective is the gift that God gave me of getting to have this much time at home is much needed. And I promise you, whenever fans see me again, it'll be a brand new Kojo. I think that's what I'm doing.
When fans do see you again, is it something that you're concerned about, his health? I mean, as his trainer, are you paying close attention to exposure, for instance? I come from the safety world outside of
right.
Outside.
So you're talking about exposure to
COVID, exposure to other flus. Is that something that's on your mind? Because you talk about staying healthy when you're out there with diet and exercise, but exposure is another one. And when you're with 10,000 people in night, you have a little bit different exposure than a lot of people. So is that something you're concerned about?
I mean, I think everyone's probably a little bit concerned about it a little bit, but I mean, when it comes to a regular flu or anything like that, it's no different. When I've been on the road with him a couple times to go help him work out and do stuff like that, and y'all take the precautions. You're doing hand sanitizers at the meet.
I was say my tour manager Jackson makes every hand I shake is wet.
Hand sanitizer
because it's hand sanitizer. And we did that. We started that a year ago just because when you're traveling from literally, so I'll just take one instance of last year. We played in Kansas and Nebraska. We played 3 nights. Got on a plane, flew to New York City, did 3 days of interviews and media, flew from New York City to LA and did 4 more shows and then 3 more appearances, stuff. It's like, so even just that travel alone is going to get you. I stay very diligent on IVs because if I get dehydrated in the slightest bit, the first thing that it affects is my vocal cords. So staying hydrated is the biggest thing. And then, if you're sweating every night on stage and you're doing your best to work out and have a sweat every day, it's
a lot of dehydration.
It's a lot of dehydration, but that's where supplements come in. You have to be aware. I mean,
replay.
You can't just pick up a sports drink and say, I'm good. You really need to dive into how much liquid did my body lose
so how
today.
are you doing bags on the road?
I have a friend of mine named Adam Bobo, and he owns Arete out of Nashville, and they fly around and do a lot of just the bigger festivals, and that's what he does. He came from a music background before he became an anesthesiologist, so now he's traveling to these big festivals like Tortuga and all these different things we play. There are doctors and clinics, and I hate to use some clinics, but whenever you're in a bind, you're in a bind. When I'm at home, I always go to Core Sports Recovery in Conroe. That's my main squeeze. But my tour manager Jackson does a really good job of staying on. Like if we play in Seattle on a Thursday night, where are we going to be 2 nights from now? Because he's already kind of feeling the effects, and we'll have it lined up and it's ready to go. I really try to stay away from steroid shots. I know it's a huge thing. Steroid and Toradol in the music business for singers is just like, you're good. It's just and that's just not what I want. We want like Willie said, we want longevity. I'd like to live longer and cleaner, and it's really tough on the road.
And
it
that's
really
what
is.
we saw originally, even with the whole CrossFit community. It's like we were all train.
Yeah.
And now it's more geared on the recovery. Like, how smart is your recovery?
Right.
What are you doing? And that's what you're hearing from Cody. Is it that I say it all the time. Is like training is like digging a hole. Recovery is like filling that hole back in. But everybody trains, but nobody does anything for recovery. When I ask a patient, hey, what do you do for recovery? They kind of their eyes glass over, and they, what do you? I roll.
What do you mean?
I stretch.
When you think about what they're doing before, too, I know a lot of guys that really concentrate on pre-workout supplements, which is great for you. If that's great for you, for me, it makes my heart race. Yeah. It makes me feel worse. Yeah. So I found through you pre-play and replay. Pre-play has a time release caffeine, so I get a little bit of I want to go and I want to do, but it doesn't give me that jitter like this drink that I'm going to hammer and make me tight jawed, and I'm able to focus more on my workout. But the recovery with the replay, replenishing that hydration and eating cleaner. On the road we always say 80-20 because if you can eat clean and you can eat good, consciously eat good food 80% of the time on the road, you're doing great. Now,
Really good.
if I work all night and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I just got into the bus and all that we had offered to us was pizza, by God, I'm eating pizza. And I'm not going to eat one piece. I'm going to eat 3 or 4 of them. You know, I'm going to regret it the next day and I'm going to have to go work out.
But we talked
But you
about
gotta do
that.
what you gotta do.
You can take those hits. So
Right,
again, when if you eat a poor diet all the time, if you drink, we talk about it,
talked
drink
about it,
whiskey. If you drink, that's what it's drink whiskey or drink beer. If you're sedentary, eat a poor diet, drink whiskey, all that whiskey's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
But if you eat a clean diet, if you train regularly, if you for the most part you can take those hits and
You can turn it into fuel.
You can turn it into fuel.
because your gut health will be a lot better. And
Yeah.
you'll be able to absorb.
And so that's just like what you're saying, and that's a good rule like we talk about is 80-20. And like I said, again, what you're hearing is there's a lot more that goes into it than just getting up on the show, getting on the bus, going on. It's like Cody does a ton intentionally to be healthy and add to longevity or recovery and things like that. And I think just from that, even if you're doing that with your demands, imagine what the average person gets out of an IV, gets out of eating nutrition, gets out of because like the whole sweating thing, the sweating out the electrolytes. I mean, most people are dehydrated without getting up on stage.
Right.
So it's
So
that
as
much
far
more
as-
important.
As far as food goes, what do you plan as far as food? Because I know it's not just, hey, we'll just grab whatever we get when we get to Kansas City. You probably got some type of plan for 3 or 4 meals a day at least, right?
So my favorite brand is Pete's Paleo, and I'm not endorsed by them. I'm not trying to plug anything here. That's a really great brand. Pete's Paleo, they have light meals and they have heavy meals. And it's basically a vegetable, a meat, and a vegetable. And it's solid paleo. So I know if I'm going to eat those at least twice a day, and you can add MCT oil and things like that to it, I feel better. Now I burn it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times you're working out, you eat one of these meals while you're working out pretty much.
Hungry and half an hour later.
You're hungry half an hour later, so you eat another one. But it's good. It's such clean fuel, and you know how much your metabolism's burning it. Anybody that's out there watching this, I want you to think about, go to Sonic and go get a big double bacon cheeseburger and eat it and see how long you stay full.
Actually, don't do that. Just think about it.
And
do it.
it's going to blow your mind. I know because I did this. That's just speaking from, because I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old little girl, and Daddy, we want Sonic ice cream. And so I grab a big burger and I eat it, and at dinner that night, I really didn't feel hungry. Yeah. I knew my body wanted something, but I felt it's not good. I can feel it. So the next day I eat completely clean like I normally do, and I'm like, there's a huge difference. Mm-hmm. There's a huge difference. And for me, I see a lot of mental clarity when I eat cleaner. Mm-hmm. But like I say, if we're going to go out to, say we were just at a tour with Miranda Lambert, or we're postponed, we're halfway through with the tour with Miranda Lambert, and she has really great catering everywhere we go, but there's options. You can eat grilled chicken or chicken fried steak. And it comes down to your choice. It comes down to when you get in there and you have free reign of whatever you want, are you going to pick what's right or not? And it really sucks because you want cheesecake. You know what I mean?
And that applies to everybody. Yeah. It just comes down to the choices you make.
And everything.
Like, very rarely are you ever going to be in a situation where this is the only thing that's available, like pizza at 1 in the morning. Sometimes that is the case. You shouldn't be up at 1 o'clock in the morning anyways.
Unless you're me.
Otherwise, you should be working on your recovery, sleeping. Right? No, so making those choices that's an unbelievable point. That's something everybody listening should really take to heart.
Carlos, how much more? We're good? All right, man. Well, we can keep rolling. So one thing I wanted to really, before we keep moving on with exercise and nutrition, is that one of the things that I really have liked about, and why I personally believe that Cody's a good role model, okay, is that like you're hearing all this talk, he's real. He's somebody that I have found is God-fearing, family first. Every show, I don't think I've ever gone to a show where you don't speak out and support our, shout out to our military, or shout out to, kind of our law enforcement and what's going on. And then I think really, I'm not going to speak to a lot of what's going on in the country right now, but I just think all I'm going to say about that is that one of the things that's missing, and one of the things that I see a lot in Cody, and why I urge everybody, if you are already or not a fan of Cody, like why we get behind him is because of your kind of approach your God-fearing background. Like
Right.
one of the best shows I ever saw you do was still is at the Cowboy Church.
Yeah.
And it was the basically the acoustic, and from Merle to I remember the joke is kind of like you're trying to pick the set list and you're like, oh, can't play that one.
Yep.
Can't play that one. But it was some Merle, and there was some and literally one of the best renditions of like Crazy from Patsy Cline
Oh yeah,
that I'd ever
it's
heard.
one of my favorite songs.
I'd ever
was.
heard. But again, it still goes back to the reason that I really, really promote Cody, or to friends, family, to everybody, is because he's for real. Like when you talk about working on the property, like clearing brush. He said, "Oh, when you came in for that last trip, you're like, yeah, I was roping 50 head a day or something." So it's not just putting on the cowboy gear like we talked about one time.
Yeah.
He's out there roping. He's out there. So true cowboy, not something put on. So everything about Cody is real. But as far as like going back, what's missing personally, and this y'all can have your opinion and believe what y'all want, is I think one of the things that's missing in the U.S. right now is the love of God. I mean,
I completely agree.
plain and simple. When you have the love of God in your heart, you can love your fellow man, and there's just not enough of black, white, red, whatever. There's just not enough loving of your fellow man because we've done a really, really good job, unfortunately, of trying to push God out of every aspect of our life.
Yeah,
and
I
so
think
I
too.
think going back, I think that's going to be one of the main things that's going to kind of heal the nation that we're kind of moving away from. And instead of moving away from it more, I think we need to move a little bit closer to it. And I think it'll heal a lot of the stuff that's going on. And I'm not naive. That's all we need. But I think that's one of the biggest thing. But again, that's one of the things Cody's God first, family, his girls, when he's home, talks about, going out and with a family and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, it's the real deal.
Do you get pushback on that?
On what?
On that topic in particular, about being outspoken at concerts
No, and if I do, I don't pay attention to it. There's no matter what you do, you're going to get backlash. No, you're just going to get backlash. I don't care how positive you are. You're going to get backlash.
Can't make everybody happy.
Exactly.
Well, and I mean that's your opinion. You don't have to like me. I mean, I'm not trying to win the world's popularity contest here. I'm just being myself, and I'm being real. For me, a lot of my mental, and I will dive into it a little bit further with like with the hormone replacement therapy and the different supplements I'm taking and things that made me kind of have a little bit more mental clarity and kind of shape things up for me. But one was, the more I focused on, like, for me was, all right, I was born with this God-given gift to play music. Like, I can't read music. It's all by ear. Really? So to tell me that it's not God-given is a pretty hard argument, because it's just, I was born with it. It's like, how am I being an example to young men and women that come to the shows, and I see them from ages 3 to 18 talking about, I want to be like you. And I'm not perfect. I mean, by no stretch am I close to perfect. So I started thinking about that. What am I doing what are the things I'm saying? How can I be a positive influence on these kids? Because there's so much negative. And on adults too. Anybody that watches my shows or listens to me talk. So I really started focusing on what's God's will for my life. Like, hey, it's your gift. You gave it to me. And I'm making this money. It's your money. You're giving it to me. So what do you want me to do with it? Mm-hmm. And we've started these charity organizations and different things. That little things that have played into my focus has shifted towards, and what you said, if you find that love and you find that peace, it breeds to people around you. For instance, the going-ons in the country right now, I think a year ago, if I had seen that footage and I'd seen the things that have gone on, my perspective would have been a little bit different. Not to say I would have hated or loved, black and white, nothing like that. I just think my perspective would have been different on it. And whenever I watch it now, I see the wrong in this side, I see the wrong in this side, I see the wrong in this side, and there is a gap. There is a gap of that love and that peace. And unfortunately, until God has his will, and I think that eventually it's going to happen, we're going to have that lack. But I've spoken out, supporting our police officers for years and years and years. Listen, man, there's bad police officers. There's bad physical trainers. There are bad doctors. There are musicians and artists out there that if you ever really got to know them, it's not. Yeah. So there's bad apples in every basket. but I'll still continue to support, our law enforcement, whether I agree with what's going on right now or not. I'll still continue to support the president, no matter whether he or she is black or white or red, yellow, or whatever, because I love this nation. I love our country, because without living in this country that is under one nation under God and God we trust, I think we've forgotten that, I wouldn't have the opportunity to do the things I'm doing, to be able to raise my kids the way I'm raising them, to even say a prayer openly is it's beautiful to me. And people think, well, it's my right this, my right that. Those rights were bought. Those rights were bought by red blood. Red blood spilt by men and women of all colors and all walks to give us the red, white, and blue we live in. And I'm not going to take that for granted. I'm going to hit the stage every night and, preach my country music, but also try to preach anti-hate. And I'm not going to dive into race. I'm not going to dive into religion or politics. Just anti-hate. Hey, for the next hour and a half, look to your left and look to your right, and let's just love each other right now, and let's just be in this, because that's, in my opinion, I hope it breeds. I think it will breed more kindness and breed more peace. You know what I mean? And if I can have a small part in that, I don't care about the backlash. It is what it is. I'm not saying anything I wouldn't say again.
Yeah.
I'm sure you saw it too. We got a text from Chef Austin over at Tris, and he said he wants you to come to the restaurant. He's a huge fan.
Oh,
awesome!
He's fangirling right now.
It's literally my favorite. I plug it all the time. My favorite restaurant. The best steaks you'll ever eat.
I'm gonna have to go over here.
His own breed of cattle.
Yeah.
It's like.
So if you hadn't
this is what you were telling me about
Yeah,
the other
So
day.
if you haven't been, you've got an invite from Chef Austin.
Awesome,
Chef
man.
Austin,
Thank you,
so,
Chef
yeah,
Austin.
I saw the text. Our phones both went off. So I think we're up to a first break. We're going to take a 2-minute break for our sponsors, and we will be right back.
Cupcakes and Bubbles, located at 26400 Kirkendall Road in Tomball, Texas. Cupcakes and Bubbles has the sweetest and most delicious cupcakes for the entire family. From chocolate raspberry, strawberry rhubars, cookies and cream, and the most popular among kids, the s'mores cupcake. Come and enjoy our cupcakes with a glass of your favorite bubbles. Visit www.cupcakesandbubbles.com for the complete list of our delicious cupcakes. Order online through our webpage. DoorDash and Uber Eats is available too. Enjoy life's sweetest moments with Cupcakes and Bubbles.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY.
Turn on your glam
91.1
today.
FM.
The Jenna Klein collection is here. Elaborated with natural products. Give yourself a compliment with our organic lip glosses in more than 15 shades. With the Jenna Klein lip gloss collection, you can hydrate your lips and keep that glamorous look that you need. Turn on your glam. Visit jennaklein.com. And don't forget our skincare collection with natural ingredients that will improve the skin's appearance and prevent visible signs of aging. We have everything you need to achieve smooth and vitalized skin. jennaklein.com. Turn on your glam today.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
It started as a dream. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to have my own restaurant. And it was a dream that finally we had the opportunity to build it here in the Woodlands. And I'm so happy with it.
It's a really authentic Italian food. I try to maintain the most original possible. It's very important. Every day I make my fresh pasta.
Chi mangia bene, mangia
italiano.
italiano. Please come and visit us.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM. We are broadcasting live from the Woodlands, Texas to the world. You're listening to the only multimedia FM station in Houston, Texas. Your Fusion Radio. Top 40s, dance, Latin, country, pop, rock and roll. All in one station, mixing genres and generations. You're listening to KNLY New Waverly, Texas, 91.1 FM, The Boss.
Welcome back, everybody, to Superhuman with Dr. V and Jason Phelps. We are talking with Cody Johson and Doug Champion. We're going to dive into real quick some of Cody's treatment plans and kind of things where that he's doing right now to stay healthy and well, and again kind of what brought him over to to Core Sports Health and how we met, and how he was referred to us by Doug. But you want to tell that kind of backstory. What initially brought you in, or actually what kind of prompted Doug to tell you to come see us?
Well, first of all, I mean, I'll let you tell your story, because that was kind of what made me your back. I call it your back story.
So I rodeoed professionally for 7 years. Rodeoed through college. Rode bucking horses. Had a freak accident. I mean, it's just part of it. You're going to get hurt. I broke my collarbone, broke ribs, but had a horse roll over on top of me, fractured L4, L5, and S1 in my back, had it fused, and when I came back from recovering, I had owned the gym. I was like him. I was like $140. I lost all this weight from surgery. I was weak.
You see his pictures.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You got a zipper in the middle of your back?
Yeah, and in the front. So they went in front and back. Yeah, take all your organs out, do the front side of your spine, put everything back together, flip you over. It's like 10 hours of surgery. Yeah. But this is how I got linked up with Willie. I was not recovering well. I didn't feel good. My brain didn't feel good. I couldn't think clearly. My back definitely didn't feel good. And I was doing all the right things. I knew I was. And he's like, come in. Let's do a blood panel. Let's see where everything is. At the time, I was 26, 27. And I think my first T levels were at like 300. And he's like, well, that's definitely the culprit, or like a large part of it,
Part of it, and symptoms.
Symptoms,
along with with all the symptoms he was having.
And so with testosterone replacement therapy or hormone replacement therapy, whatever we call it, therapeutic amounts have made my life 1,000 times better. And I went from 145 pounds, not even barely being able to pick up a barbell, to being able to snatch 255 pounds or deadlift 525 pounds, like cool things. And
just perform at a optimal level in your normal life on top of that.
And it was...
and again, because of the recovery, because of the thing. And so again...
It's a combo. It's definitely a combo.
It's a combo. And that's the thing is, it's like, for everybody that just thinks that hormone replacement or anything like that is just performance-driven or it's for energy, or there's a lot of health, health and wellness aspects that, you're just not as healthy and well at a low level as you are at a optimal, at a normal level.
Absolutely.
Is that you pulling all that weight?
Yeah.
Are those real weights?
No. They're actually just air.
And that's with
it's all about the percentage.
with the fusion.
That's what I was going to
And that was like early into the fusion.
And that's one of the things that will tell you, a lot of time medically is like, you're probably never going to lift weights again.
They told me I would never ride a bucking horse again. They told me I'd never do CrossFit again. And I've done all of those things again. Yeah. I got on a bucking horse after 7 years this November, and I've been getting on them again just for fun. My goal is not to make the NFL or be a professional cowboy anymore. But if I want to go get on a bucking horse, I think I should be able to go do that. And if I'm healthy enough, well, why not?
When you got that guy being your trainer, and and I start talking to him about, dude, when I come home from the road, home versus road, my sleep habits are all over the place. When I wake up, I don't wake up and go, man, I'm gonna get a cup of coffee and some eggs and go. I wake up and I automatically feel like crap. And so I started questioning things. A lot of people, I think the common misconception when you talk about hormone replacement therapy is, steroids in baseball, or I don't have a problem in my love life, so there's no reason. Well, I didn't either.
Yeah.
I'm a young man. I'm not, I'm not going to go into it too deeply, but that was not a problem.
Hey, nobody here was accusing you of anything.
So, but I'm wondering, because he goes,
wait, too defensive.
He says you should try, go to Dr. Willie and at Core Sports and try to maybe get a blood panel and see what you're deficient in, because you might be low on testosterone. And immediately, I'm just uneducated. I'm like, can't be. No. It can't be, because I don't have a problem here. Well, my levels the first time were like 299. Yeah. Super, super deficient in vitamin D. My potassium levels were low. There was so much going on. So then you started trying to address the problem internally. Within the first 2 months, and we started very small. One of the things I loved about working with Dr. Willie was it was not here, we're going to go to this. We're going to start a little bit at a time.
Start chipping away at it.
And then we're going to check your blood again. We're going to do a little bit more. And now for the last 2 years, it's like the most normal thing, and I feel so consistent. My want to go do things. I need to get this done today, so I'm not going to put it off. I'm going to line it up just like this, my mental process. And it helps me push through the big workouts, which for me, in turn, whenever I'm going, man, I'm tired and I'm beat and I don't have any more gas, but I'm going to find some gas and get this done. For me, that applies. It happens to me in my brain on stage. Keep going. Keep driving. Be better than the next guy. Be better than the next guy. When you're tired and you don't want to get on an airplane, you don't want to go do these interviews, keep going. Keep driving. You want to be better than the next guy. And it's not about being better than somebody else. It's really trying to beat
internal.
yourself. Yeah. It took that competitive drive and just turned it up. And I saw the differences physically when mixed with good workout. So now we talked about the combo. You've got the training. You start with the hormone replacement therapy, fixing your body internally. You start finding out about diet from Willie, really trying to change your diet. Now let's talk about recovery. Then we start with the recovery process. And when you put those things together, it's changed my life.
It's not one thing. When people think it's just, their eyes would pop out of their head if they saw what I take on a daily basis for it, because it's a lot of things. It is. And does everybody have to do that? No, but if you're trying to perform, recover at an optimal level, if you're pushing yourself at this level, you also have to, if you don't recover as well as or as much as you train, you're gonna have a deficit somewhere. And so again, it's a lot of things, but like with even the hormone therapy, it's way beyond that, and it's at optimal levels. And what I tell patients all the time right away, there's a huge difference between the perspective of PEDs and juicing and bro science and proper hormone therapy for health and wellness.
Yeah, you're just trying to get the line. You're not trying to ramp up and go down. Right. Right.
Where you should be, and I can show you data levels of from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s to now what the averages are across the board.
And they just keep going down, right?
And they just keep going down.
Is that because of the Western diet?
Well, a lot of things. We could have an hour-long conversation on why.
Don't get me started on that one.
It's a rabbit hole, but like environmental talks. I mean, you could go into so many things. But yeah, I mean, it's starting to be generational, and you see it with your clients too.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely. So what we tell people in our world is, people ask us, well, how much of this is diet? How much of it is exercise? And what we tell people is, well, it's 100% diet, but it's also 100% training, and it's 100% supplementation.
Right.
Once you realize that if you're missing any of those three, it's not going to work. You have to have the same focus on what you put in your body as you do what you're doing as far as output goes.
Right.
So if you're missing any of those three pillars, something's going to fall apart.
Right.
I always look at it like a rifle. If you're not cleaning that rifle from the inside out, making sure that it's firing right, it's not going to fire right. If any of the components in the bullets, it's not going to fire right. You have to go through each part of it, and that's kind of the way I've focused on it for me. Is even whenever I do have bad days or whatever, like I'm fixing to go on vacation with my family, I'm sure my kids are going to wind up eating some cheeseburgers and some pizza, and I'm going to wind up doing it. First thing I thought, well, I'm going to be on the beach. Yeah. I'm going to work out in sand, and it's probably going to kick my butt. You know what I mean? You're gonna need, but it's like, I'm going to do that. But I'm already thinking on vacation, I'm going to put these things together. My wife was like, when you go by Core Sports, make sure you get some replay so we can have our hydration for when we sweat on the beach. Like you talked about that mental preparation and making sure that you're going to be able to do it. That recovery is just as important as anything else. I think it's a great program when you can add it all together. But for anybody that thinks I'm just going to do the one thing, I can tell you from experience it doesn't work.
They come in all the time. They go, "What supplement do you take?"
Yeah,
back up. What do you eat?
So I'm curious. You said you take a lot every day. Like every morning, I'm like 2 Mitacor. I take D-Hist for my allergies, which I have to take. Glutathion. I take CoQ10. Alpha Brain. Yeah, like I've got it in my truck. You can see it's like every morning I'm like, okay, bottoms up. But I feel the difference over time. It's not a one-time thing. Months and months later, you're going, I consistently feel better at 33 years old than I ever did from 21 to 30.
You ever get out on the road and realize you've forgotten some of that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And then have to go through the day knowing I'm going to run out of gas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then how do you combat something like that?
Well, for me, like if I miss a hormone injection, if I forget certain things, which thyroid runs in my family, so I have a little thyroid supplement that I take. If I don't take that for 3 or 4 days, which I have accidentally, I do feel fatigued. I do feel the effects of it. But for me, doing this kind of regimen and doing this kind of training over time, you can talk yourself out of it for a little bit. You start to feel the effects and you go, okay, I know what happened. I've still got to go to work. I still got to do my job. I still got to hit my workouts, but I will not forget that again. Because you can feel the difference. You feel like to me, I feel like a more, a sharper tool.
Yeah.
I just called myself a tool.
Sharp tool.
And all of that in the context, the supplements in the context of an already healthy diet. And that's what everybody needs to understand is that they always ask me, what supplement should I take? And if they're eating a poor diet, it's a negative net gain. I mean, it's just zero. So now you mentioned recovery. Now we were talking a little bit earlier about kind of regenerative medicine, and there's docs that we all know that you know. You want to talk a little bit about the C6?
Yeah. So not as near as severe as Doug's, but like he said, rodeo's a tough sport. I think it's the roughest sport, next to football as far as bodily injury. So what happened was when I was riding bulls at a pretty young age, there's this motion of the whiplash, kind of like a car accident, and what it did was it compressed down the C6 and C7 vertebrae there, and there's a bone spur and a calcium buildup. Well, what it's doing is it's on these nerves, and I figured all this out through my friend Dr. Jeffrey Pruski in Huntsville. He's a chiropractor. Right next door to him is our friend Justin Bigford, and he does physical therapy. So I'm kind of going back and forth to both of these guys. I want to get both angles on it, try to figure out through Doug saying this is who you need to go to. Through the both of them, physical therapy and doing some MRIs and some different stuff at the chiropractor, we figure out that these nerves that it's pressing on, they run right down this arm. It kind of disappears and it comes down to the forearm, and it controls the nerves of these 3 fingers. So this is the motion of playing a guitar, and that guitar strap is riding back here, and it's kind of putting pressure. And if you have the tendency to have poor posture, which everybody does, and you're not rolling your shoulders back and standing up, it gets like that. And I had a tendency at the time to really get hunched over on stage, and it got so bad I couldn't hold a pick between these 2 fingers. I couldn't feel them. And one night in particular, we were leaving a rodeo in Mississippi that we had played, and I was up in the middle of the night, and I was crying. And I have a pain tolerance that is pretty freaking high. And I was just bawling. And my wife's in there going, "What is wrong?" I was like, "I can't take this anymore," because it literally felt, I don't know how to describe it. It literally felt like hot ants, fire-hot ants crawling underneath your skin. It was like electricity burning, and you can't get rid of it. So how do you get rid of it? Physical therapy. You can have surgery, which I didn't want to do. And Dr. Pruski introduced me to Dr. Nash, who was here in the Woodlands, and said, "I would like you to consider doing some regenerative medicine injections." And what they do is they inject right to the core of what's going on. There was injections on all the scapula muscle that was really inflamed. We went down through the scap muscle right around the C6-7 and put these regenerative cells in there. Probably 3 months later, I would say 2 to 3 months later, I saw a tremendous turnaround. No pain. Again, combo deal. A lot of physical therapy, making sure that the stuff that Doug and I are doing isn't hindering that healing process, making sure that I'm recovering with Willie. But then a year later, which was recently, I started to feel a little bit of that come back. Very, very, very minimal. Went in for my 2nd round, and they mix exosomes, which you can speak a little bit more to this, but basically it's the flaggers that are going to tell these regenerative cells where the problem is. And I mean, I'm not going to say it's a cure-all. I'm not going to say it's God's gift to medicine, but it works. It works for me, and now I can go rope, and I can move this shoulder and not have those problems in any of this area. I can play the guitar. All the physical stuff we're doing, it's gone. So again, just another example of trying to be preventative, trying to give yourself longevity, looking ahead to the future. This may hurt a little bit right now, but how's it going to do at 50 versus 35 if I don't take care of it?
Right.
You know.
Right. You want to add anything to the exosomes and the therapy itself?
I really want to have like Nash and Hogan on here. We'll have a
This is
whole
something
show on
you're
it.
talking about doing to me weeks ago.
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
to get this done on my own back.
Yeah.
So is that...
Yeah, and so exosomes are the new basically treatment plan that we do, and I refer to Dr. Hogan and Nash and them because they have the expertise as far as the injection and doing it under fluoroscopy and doing it under guidance imaging, and that's really what you want for some places, like, especially like C6, C7. You want it under.
It's a very delicate spot.
It's a very delicate spot, and even in the spine. But they work very, very well in the people that they work in, and that's the thing is it's just like you said, it's helping more people than not. So why not try that before you jump to surgery? Because you can't undo surgery.
No.
That was the biggest part, the biggest conversation with me and Dr. Pruski and Dr. Hogan before I ever even went to Nash was, what's the other option here? Yeah. I'm doing everything as diligently as I can physical therapy wise. What's the only other option? He's like, well, there's surgery, but it's invasive. And that's whenever this came up. And I'm not out here promoting, I'm not getting any kickbacks on this, I promise. I'm not saying just go get it. I'm not saying just go get, just like
there's
the
a whole
hormone
process.
replacement therapy.
There's a
Don't just
whole
go get
process.
it.
Yeah.
Consult these physicians that you can look at them and tell every one of them that they know what they're talking about, because you can see it. You can see it manifesting itself in them.
Yeah.
You know, because they're the ones doing this. You know, like Dr. Nash was saying, he's like, I wasn't as huge of a believer until I got these injections, and then here we get, you know, and it works. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just telling you, off air, we'll talk about Dr. Nash and Dr. Hogan, but
Yeah, exosomes are a whole other rabbit hole that if I start talking about it, we'll get into, because there's a lot of science and validity and studies on them. And we're up to a one last commercial break, and we will be back with y'all in about 2 minutes.
Cupcakes and Bubbles, located at 26400 Kirkendall Road in Tomball, Texas. Cupcakes and Bubbles has the sweetest and most delicious cupcakes for the entire family. From chocolate raspberry, strawberry rhubars, cookies and cream, and the most popular among kids, the s'mores cupcake. Come and enjoy our cupcakes with a glass of your favorite bubbles. Visit www.cupcakesandbubbles.com for the complete list of our delicious cupcakes. Order online through our webpage. DoorDash and Uber Eats is available too. Enjoy life's sweetest moments with Cupcakes and Bubbles.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Woodlands Prime Lending, offering business loan programs for all types of endeavors. Need a startup loan, equipment financing, or even a business line of credit? Woodlands Prime Lending offers a variety of commercial loans to help you get funded when you need it. Call 713-900-7170 or visit us on our website at woodlandsprimelending.com to schedule an appointment today. Getting a loan is easy with Woodlands Prime Lending.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Turn on your glam today. The Jenna Klein collection is here, elaborated with natural products. Give yourself a compliment with our organic lip glosses in more than 15 shades. With the Jenna Klein lip gloss collection, you can hydrate your lips and keep that glamorous look that you need. Turn on your glam. Visit jennaklein.com. And don't forget our skincare collection with natural ingredients that will improve the skin's appearance and prevent visible signs of aging. We have everything you need to achieve smooth and vitalized skin. jennaklein.com. Turn on your glam today.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Do you feel that your energy costs are unnaturally high? Do you want to fortify your building and keep it strong and secure for years to come? Then NRG Spray Foam Installation is the answer you're looking for. Our unique foam installation is made to help our customers save in energy, prevent gas, air, and moisture infiltration, as well as helping with general stability in your building structure. Call us at 713-936-3021 or visit us online at nrgfoam.com for more information. NRG Spray Foam. Building green, living green.
This message was from a proud sponsor to KNLY 91.1 FM.
It started as a dream. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to have my own restaurant. And it was a dream that finally we had the opportunity to build it here in the Woodlands. And I'm so happy with it.
It's a really authentic Italian food. I try to maintain the most original possible. It's very important. Every day I make my fresh pasta.
Chi mangia bene,
Mangia
mangia
italiano.
italiano. Please come and visit us.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
All right, welcome back to Superhuman with Dr. V and Jason Phelps. We're going to finish up the show with a couple of new topics and questions. I want to real quick dive into like what Doug does and what he's doing now as far as training online and kind of where people can find you and stuff. So how did all that come about as far as like who you're training, who your target audience is?
Yeah.
What's going on?
So, like I said, I have a rodeo background. So, well, let's get into how I do the training first. So, I had a gym first of all, and I loved CrossFit, and it was awesome. But I saw a gap, and that gap was nobody is the same individually. Like, he has injuries in his C6, I have an L4 injury. Like, so the same workout, if to say one workout is going to make everybody better, is in my eyes, this is not the truth. So I do individualized programming, and it's all online, remote coaching through an app. True Coach is the app. I didn't create the app. It's just a platform that I use. But I program specifically for you. And what that means is I'm going to sit down, we're going to do an evaluation, I'm going to go over range of motion from head to toe, you're going to video some things, put them on the app for me, and we're going to see where a good starting point is, and we're going to go from there based on your goals, you know, whatever you have going on in your life, whether it's we're traveling a lot, I need the workout to be 20 minutes, or I have an hour and I can go to a gym. Whatever it is, I can make it work for you, that's what I love about it, and I get to help a lot of people doing that.
Another good point is he has videos. So if there's a new movement or a movement you don't understand, with each part of the with the True Coach app, you can click and he uploads videos, example videos, so you can see exactly what it is. And I think that's a really cool part of it. It's a really cool
super user friendly, man. Like I trained my 89-year-old grandpa and he can figure out the app. So there's something to be said for that. But from warm up to workout to cool down, it tells you what tempo I want you to do, how many reps, how many sets, how much rest time between either that movement or the next movement in the superset. And like you said, it's got demo videos, so you're not sitting there going, well, I got to YouTube all this? Like, this is going to take me forever to get through this. It's super easy. You get to comment on how much weight you lifted on a certain thing, or, hey, I asked you to hold the plank. How long did you hold that? And the app's going to track it all for you. So we're going to track all your progress. You're going to see exactly how much better or maybe not better we're getting at something, so we need to work on that some more, it's cool, man. And so I target everyday people, but because of my rodeo background, lots of cowboys and cowgirls, and I've got people from each event, which is cool, and I've kind of made plans that are specific for the movements that they're going to do. So people that rope, we're going to do lots of shoulder movement things, getting you to pull those shoulders back, scap strength, and just basic, internal, external rotation, trying to get everything strong and tight. Rough stock rider is going to be much different because rodeo's tough in general, but rough stock is tough for sure every time. And so the point of the gym, because the arena beats the crap out of you already, the gym shouldn't do that. The gym should, you should get stronger, and you should, everything should get better, but we should not be killing yourself in the gym. We should be working on, man, I'm sore from this. Okay, let's do these exercises today, and then by Tuesday, I'm ready to roll. And then by Thursday comes, they might be rodeoing or getting ready for a rodeo Friday, and Thursday's the recovery day. And we're just doing souped up PT. And these guys are performing the best they've ever performed. They're accomplishing things that, they're calling me and they're like, dude, I never even in a million years would have thought I could do this. And it's rewarding. It's cool to see. And the cool thing about him is rodeo and music, the lifestyle, the going all the time, constantly running from rodeo to rodeo or show to show. It's tough. And you get so tight and wound up and, riding in a car, even if you're on the bus, like I've been out a couple times with them and you get off and you're like, I slept in the bed, but I'm like, I need to move. And it's just all about basing it on your body, how you're feeling. So like sometimes I've been out with him and he wakes up, he doesn't feel that great, and we're like, hey, we don't need to hit an hour. We need to hit 20 minutes of just moving.
Souped up PT pretty much.
Yeah, and feel good. So I just make sure that we're paying attention to your body and how you're feeling, and kind of taking out that little ego part, or that makes you, like you're talking about CrossFit, train, and don't recover. It's like I said, it's got to be have some
it takes away that group aspect too of, and listen, I like going to the gym. But there's a reason I built a gym at Doug and I built a gym at my house. So I didn't get videoed. But I like that group. Like when the other day, his brother Richie came over, and he and I and Richie worked out for a good 45 minutes, maybe I think it was 45 minutes to an hour, and it was great. It was fun having people. But my only thought, and I might be a little arrogant in saying this, but when I've gone to CrossFit classes, and it's like, you're getting on my rear end because I'm not doing what this guy's doing. I'm like, I don't care what that guy's doing. I'm trying to, but that's the beauty of, like, for me, it's personalized. So anybody out there that's thinking about trying to look into Doug's program, I would highly recommend it, because you can see, I'm going to throw my wife under the bus. It can be as simple as my wife saying, I want my butt to be bigger and higher. Okay, you're fixing to do a lot of air squats, baby.
Lots of booty man stuff, But let's make it work for everybody, man, and that's what I think. Perfect. I think that's where fitness should be heading, if it isn't already, which I see a ton of people going that way.
Online, and we talked about a couple, especially this, it's kind of forced everybody online, but the people that are already doing it, they're kind of ahead of the game. And, and then going back to, like, recovery, like you were saying, what we do at what you come to see us for is, like, not just the medical aspect, but as far as just the recovery, like what you're talking about, we do the the
cryo
chamber, the
chambers,
cryo,
the PIMF table where you can get loosen those muscles up and get rid of some of that lactic acid and break some of that stuff up.
And then the specialized drips that you do, and some of the NAD drips.
I did an NAD drip this morning.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna kill my live stream tonight.
For 3 weeks straight.
Yeah, you want to make sure that we get that plug tonight, because we want everybody to watch. Cody's going to have that live stream. What time is it going to be on?
It's going to be at 7 o'clock. If you guys want to just check it out at
Facebook page.
Yeah, the Cody Johson band, the Cody Johson Music Facebook page. I'm telling, there it is.
There it is.
I'm telling on myself because I have a company that works my social platforms and I don't know the tags. I'm like a 60-year-old man in my brain.
We'll make sure and put up the link to it as well. Anything fun and new to expect tonight in the show? Anything you've been working on?
So, from the very beginning of these live streams, I've gone back to my first independent record and worked a few songs from my 5 independent records, and we've gone up and we've worked our way forward to the present. And now we've kind of like gotten to the point where I talked to my fiddle player Jody last night and was like, dude, let's just play some covers. Let's just get a little cooler with some beer and sit around like we used to, and let's play some covers. So you're going to hear
excellent Patsy Cline cover.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tonight we're playing a Dixie Chicks cover.
Oh really?
What? Come at me, bro. It's going to be fun tonight. Tonight's just going to be like what you're going to see tonight is what started every band ever. Is a bunch of guys sitting around just playing other people's music and just having fun and jamming. Tonight's a no agenda night for me. I'm not trying to push a record or anything. And I think that's a good prep, because here in a few weeks we're going to start getting back in the studio to record for the next record, and my band is going to be much more involved in it this time than they've ever been. So I think this is a good.
So this next album, what can you say? What can you not say? What can we expect? I know there's some really really cool things coming up. So what sneak peeks can you?
First of all, I'll say this: my next single that's coming out is "Dear Rodeo." And there is a very, very special surprise that's going to be tagged onto this whole project. And I'm just, anybody that's out there that knows anything about my music, just stay tuned. I have been for the last 3 weeks working on one of the most incredible projects I've ever done, and it's within a few weeks of coming out. Cool. It's going to be super, super special, wrapped around my favorite song ever, "Dear Rodeo," which is the story of my career, my rodeo career, short and sweet. And but
so
coming up,
30-second jingle.
Yeah. But coming up with the new record, I mean, I can't tell you what song, and I can't really put it into context, but I was able to do a duet with Willie Nelson and my favorite musician of all time, Mickey Raphael, which is Willie's harp player. Guy got a job with Willie at 15, and it's been that way ever since. I mean, it's pretty cool.
That's super cool.
A lot of great songs. I honestly don't ever go into a project thinking it's going to be, if it's not going to be better than the last one, I don't even want to start it. And I'm like, I can't wait to start this project.
Awesome. One thing I can tell you that I like, do you remember in the 80s when your whole album had to be, well, you don't. You probably don't either. God dang, I just dated myself. In the 80s, we used to have to, like the albums, they used to have to be good all the way through.
Well, that's that's the way we approach it, man. It should be like a set list.
Yeah.
Even the order of the songs on the record, you should let that flow like a set list, in my opinion. I might be giving away some secrets here, but it's like I just took it from the old school.
Yeah.
It's really all my old favorite people did that.
Yeah, and in the 80s, you could literally just put on a tape or put on a record and just play through, and every song on that album was good. I could tell you every song on Van Halen's 1984. I can tell you every song on Def Leppard's Pyromania. I can tell you every song on George Strait's first album. But the thing about it, what I like about like Cody's music and any of the albums is I can literally play it and then play it through, and I can tell you there's nothing better. And we do it. We're going to the river again this year, for Labor Day. There's nothing better than literally floating down the river with a floatable cooler and a floatable radio, and literally listen to Texas country, and we always have Cody playing, or a Cody, we have a Cody mix, and so, but literally floating down the river, listening to Cody Johson. No, seriously, drinking beer.
One for him.
Yeah,
Put it in this order. Play
play it like this. Yeah. So real quick, we're running out of time. It's been a really cool show. I've really enjoyed having Cody and Doug on. I appreciate it very, very much.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
It's been fun. Everybody, again, I urge y'all go check out Doug's. And what's the website?
Championlivingfitness.com.
Okay.
And then Instagram, champion.living.
Gotcha. And then everybody get behind Cody. I mean, if y'all aren't already, I know very few people that I talk to that isn't already, in my circle that doesn't listen to Cody. The last thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna plug it.
Heck yeah, plug it.
I got Kojo cologne, man. I wear it every day. I got it for my birthday, actually. It's really great. It smells
I put
really.
it on in the last commercial break.
Yeah,
It
smells really great. So he's got a ton of projects out, and again, couldn't get behind a better role model, a true God-fearing family man, like a real person. I mean,
yeah, I was going to say earlier, I want to make something very clear when you're talking about all that. Look, I think my whole testimony and my whole approach is you can pick out how I'm not perfect, and that don't bother me at all. It's the journey, it's the try. Mm-hmm. I do put God and family first over music, over anything. But I think when you get your priorities straight, your mess ups don't matter as much. You have a mess up, you overcome, and you conquer, and you move forward. And you don't let your past perpetuate your future. And I think that's the biggest thing about me is I want you to look into me. I mean, if you find something bad, cool. Watch me long enough and see if it really affects. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy that thinks, or I don't want you to take the perception of, well, Cody's got it all together, because I don't. But I'm trying my butt off.
That is the important part.
Well, anything else to add? We're going to wrap up
really
the show.
Thank you.
And it was a fun show. One of the best shows we've gotten, and we're going to get a lot of replays on it. Yep. And we'll
check out the Facebook feed tonight for the live show at 7. Yep. And man, we'll have you guys back soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have some fun.
Yeah. After you get back on the road and back on stage, and we'll see y'all next week on Superhuman with Dr. V and Jason Phelps. Have a good week.
Thanks, guys.